Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Today we're going to get a little bit more interactive than we normally do. So if you can see, you can sort of see. I'll adjust the camera later on, but we're going to get a little bit active today. So that's a disclaimer. So if you're at home or wherever you are and you want to follow along with some of the exercises, then make sure that you're dressed for it, or you make the space, or you make the time, whatever works for you. Normally, I would like to do a full session, but this time around, I'm just going to show you a few variations on things, and then later on down the line, then I'll do more sessions with you, and I'll try to make each one of these classes a little bit more interactive when possible. So like if I'm able to demonstrate, some of the food things that we discuss, or if I can demonstrate some of the exercises or anything like that, I'll try to do that for you too. Alrighty. So I'm gonna share my screen. And like I said, this is a disclaimer. I'm gonna pause here so you can go grab anything that you might need. Alrighty, so today is called Get More Active. So we've been going over quite a few things. So we started off with talking about what the heck is type 2 diabetes, how do I get it, who's susceptible to developing type 2 diabetes, what is prediabetes, what issues might I see if I am pre-diabetic. If you can, kind of think through some of those things out loud again. So what is prediabetes? Think about that. Right, so it's that elevated blood sugar, so your blood sugar is high, but it's not as high as if you're fully diabetic. All right, then we talked about ways to get active and restrictions that you might have to activity. So from feedback that I've read from most people, you're wondering about how you can get active if you have arthritis, or if you have other kind of issues you're dealing with that makes it hard for you to do all types of exercise. So you're looking for something that can work for you. So today I'm going to show you some of those types of activities. And you can also find more on YouTube for free. You just go on YouTube. You can search chair exercise, or exercise for people with arthritis, exercise for people with neck pain, exercise for people with knee pain, anything like that. And you'll be able to find a lot of resources out there. So we also talked about how to eat healthier. So we were talking about preparing our meals. We went over what calories are. What are calories? What are they? What are they? Let me know, let me know, let me hear it. So calories are basically like the gas of our body. If we're gonna think about our bodies like a car, you need calories, which are just energy that we get from food in order for our bodies to be able to run. So in order for our cars to run, we need calories. Alrighty, we talked about the different types of food. We talked about fats, we talked about proteins, we talked about carbs. Carbs equal sugar. And we talked about different foods from each of those categories. We also talked about how those categories overlap. So for example, beans are a high protein food, and they also have a lot of carbs, okay? If we think about things like pork is gonna have protein, and it's also gonna have a lot of fat. So you wanna be able to kind of weigh out those different categories that you're putting together so that you can build meals that are as healthy as possible. When you're making them healthy, you want to have colorful meals. You want to have lots of vegetables, lots of multicolored vegetables. You want to make sure that you're eating lean meats. When people say lean meats, that just means meats that don't have a lot of fat. If you are able to, an easy way to kind of head in that direction would be reducing the amount of like red meat that you eat. So instead of eating like, let's say you're eating steak every night or hamburgers every night or ribs every night, pork ribs every night, something like that. Then you could pork chops. You could transition to eating more turkey, chicken, eating seafood, so like fish, shrimp, scallops, lobster, whatever, crawfish. Um, all of those types of sources are going to be have a little bit less fat and salt than eating like pork and things like that. Also, when you're choosing products, and especially we'll start with meats, you want to go for fresh meats or like pure meats as compared to processed meats. When I'm saying processed, I mean things like bologna, or like when you buy stuff like fish, frozen fish sticks and things like that. It's better to, let's say you're gonna eat fried fish either way, because you wanna try to avoid eating fried foods. But let's say you're set, you're gonna eat fried fish, and your option is either a fish stick or to fry like a full, fish fillet. So you're gonna fry it from scratch, or you're gonna buy a box of frozen fish sticks. So what you would wanna do in that scenario is actually fry the fish from scratch. Now, if you're able to, what you would really wanna do is instead of frying, then you would want to either bake the fish or saute it. Sauteing, I think, is really awesome because you're able to add in a lot of flavor and it cooks faster than baking, and it's not gonna be as dry. So for sauteing, you can do that in multiple ways. They kind of showed us in that video we watched, that class, but you can add, some oil, some broth, some water, and like your seasonings. And then you just throw the fish in there. You can add some vegetables to it to also add some flavor. Like usually I'll use onions, bell peppers, garlic, things like that to just give the food, whatever I'm cooking, really like a base level of flavor. And then from there, I stack things on depending on what direction I want to take the flavors in. So those are all things to think about. So then we talked about processed meats versus fresh meats. And when I say meat, I'm also including fish and seafood. If you prefer, I can say animal products as compared to plant-based products. So animal products. So, okay, so when we're talking about other things that are not meat, not animal flesh, then we have to think about, again, fresh food versus processed food. So processed food would be something like a cracker, if you buy a box of cookies, a lot of snacks that we eat, chips, things like that. So the general rule of thumb is that it's gonna be best to actually make fresh foods. So the more that you can do from scratch, the better. You can even make a lot of the snacks that you like from scratch as well. And depending on what it is that you like to eat, you might be able to make it in bulk. So you make a bunch of it, and then you might be able to freeze some of it or dry it out or whatever, so that it will last longer. So there are quite a few different ways to kind of experiment and get active. I have a ton of recipes that I can share with anybody that's interested. And again, I'm always here if you have questions, concerns, if you want to know about how to make this work for you specifically. You can reach me through call or through text, 929-324-0334. That's 929-324-0334. And my name is Lisa. Alrighty. So let's get to talking about what we're actually going to be doing today. Alrighty, so get more active. So the focus of this session is getting more active and how that can help you to prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Now, that should sound very familiar because that's almost the focus, that's almost been the focus for each session, pretty much. So how can getting more active help you to prevent or delay type 2 diabetes? That's the focus, okay? In this session, we're going to talk about the purpose of getting more active, ways to get more active, and how to track your fitness. Again, these should feel like refresher concepts because we've talked about these things before. So each time we come back to a topic, we're going to dive a little bit deeper. And so when we're diving deeper, I want you to also dive deeper into yourself, okay? Start asking yourself some of those hard questions, giving yourself those hard answers, and making those hard decisions. Start breaking through some of the cycles that you know that you've developed, and really focus on what it is that you need to do to actually improve. Alrighty? So some tips. Make sure you're working out at a moderate pace. Use the talk test. Remember that means that if you can talk, but you cannot sing through an activity, then that's a good pace. So you should not be able to be singing a full song while you're working out, but you should be able to at least talk. So you shouldn't be like, hello, bye, day. You should be able to be a bit more like, yeah, I've been really interested in this. It's pretty fun and I am enjoying myself. So you can see that difference in the pace of conversation and breathing. So you can tell that you're still working out, but you should definitely easily be able to talk. And something that we're going to explore with that I think is really important is getting started with stretching, because getting started with stretching, can really help you to get started with everything else. And again, the tip is, like I was just kind of saying, increasing things as you go. So try to get a little bit more active each week. So each week you want to try to do a little bit more than you did before. Alrighty? Okay, so we've heard quite a few stories. We've heard from Theo, who is the father, who his doctor told him that he needed to lose some weight. So he started walking up and down the field when he would go to his kids' game. He started playing basketball with his kids instead of watching basketball on TV as much. He started taking walks on his lunch breaks with a friend. Then we also met Sally. Sally had the issue where she was frustrated because she wasn't losing weight. And then when we started to dig through what she was eating, we saw that she wasn't writing down or remembering what she was eating. So she thought she was eating one thing that was healthier than what she was actually doing, okay? And so that's why last week, again, we focused on the importance of actually writing down what you're eating, okay? So we've met Theo, we've met Sally, so now we're gonna meet Olga. Olga is at risk for type 2 diabetes. So she's been trying to get a little more active each week. Her goal is to be active at least 150 minutes per week at a moderate pace. Okay, that should sound familiar. That's the same goal that we have too. 150 minutes a week. Remember, that's gonna be about 20 to 30 minutes a day and at a moderate pace. So that means that you can talk, but you can't sing at that pace when you're exercising. So for week 1, Olga takes a gentle stroll around the block. So that just means she's just cool, just walking, no big deal, around her block. It takes her about 10 minutes. She does this for 3 days that week, okay? So I've noticed they give us a lot of math, like each section. So again, if you don't like math, don't worry, don't stress, don't fret, we're gonna work through it together. So she takes, it takes her 10 minutes and she does it 3 days a week. So 10 times 3, that's gonna give us 30 minutes. So for week 1, she had 30 minutes of exercise just from walking around her block. So just a nice little loop. 30 minutes the first week, okay? Week 2, Olga walks around the block 2 times. It takes her 17 minutes. She does this for 5 days that week. Now, for that one, y'all, I'm not gonna play games. I'm gonna pull out my calculator. So 17 times 5 That's 85 now. So that's 85 minutes for that week. So she went from 30 in the first week to 85 in the second week. And the only thing she did different was she started going around her block 2 times, okay? So she's still just walking, taking it easy. It only takes her 17 minutes a day, but she started doing walking around twice. And that increased her activity for the week from 30 to 85. So that added on 55 extra minutes. So now let's dive into week 3. Olga walks around the block 3 times. It takes her 21 minutes. She does this for 7 days. Now that sounds like our goal. 21 minutes for 7 days. Let's do that math. We're almost at the goal. So 21 for 7 days gives us 147 minutes. And remember, our goal up here is 150 minutes. So we're just 3 minutes away from the goal. And that's just from her adding on another block. So she's just going 1, 2, 3, just walking, chill, no stress, walking around the block. That gives her 21 minutes of activity because she's doing it every single day. Now, when we look at the difference from the second week, it's a difference of 62 minutes. So just by walking around the block one more time, she's added on an extra 62 minutes of exercise. And if we compare that to the first week, I mean, that's 117 minutes difference. Because the first week she was only walking for 30 minutes, and now she's at 147. So that's 117 minutes difference. And the only thing she did was just add on a couple more blocks. Okay, now week 4. Olga follows the same walking schedule as she did in week 3, plus she adds some hills to her route. One day, she also does 2 sets of 3 reps with a resistance band. Okay, so this says, the first thing that it says is that she follows the same schedule that she did for week 3. So that was when she's walking around the block 3 times every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then on top of that, instead of just going around the same block, she made it a little bit fancy. She got a little spicy with it. She got a little excited on it. So she started adding in hills, okay? And when you do that, you're actually gonna make your body work a little bit more. You're gonna actually also potentially, depending, help to improve things like your balance, your resistance, because your body has to adjust to the having to climb up the hill, having to climb down the hill. And so you're working out extra muscles than you would if you're just walking on a flat surface. So she's really increased things, and she should start to see some minor changes in her muscle tone too. So she should start to feel a little bit stronger. So she did the hills, and then it also says one day she does 2 sets of 3 reps with a resistance band. I'm going to talk about resistance bands more when we get into the exercise. But if you all are interested in having a resistance band, you can get one from the Resource Center. This is not the type that we have at the Resource Center, but this is like the same concept. So I'm going to show you a few things that you can do with a resistance band. If you're interested in having this type of resistance band, you can order something like this off of Amazon or get it at Walmart, Target, anything like that. Alrighty. So week 5, Olga follows the same walking schedule as she did in week 3. So again, that's the walking around the block 3 times. For 2 days that week, she also does 3 sets of 5 reps with a resistance band. Okay, so she upped it. Last week, she was doing 2 sets of 3 reps. Let me also clarify this. So a rep will be how many of the exercise you do. So for example, if you're just doing like a bicep curl. So this is 1. That's 1 rep, 1. So then if I do 1, 1, I did my 1 rep, and then I wait. Now I'm gonna do a second set, 1. So that's 2 sets with 1 rep. Rep, think of just repetition, and then set, think of like sets of things. So things that you do together, how many are you gonna do together at once? So for example, I'll demonstrate the difference in what she did here. So for week 4, she did 2 sets of 3 reps. So that is 1, 2, 3 reps. Pause, you take your break, whee! And you come back for the second set. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's what she did in week 4. Now I'm gonna touch on what she did in week 5. Alrighty? So in week 5, she did 3 sets of 5 reps. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause, and take your break. Whee. Come back for the second set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, pause, take that break, do your thing. And then now we're gonna do the third set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we just did 3 sets with 5 reps. 5 reps. Reps just meaning repetition. Okay. These days, Olga is meeting her fitness goal. She's lost weight and her blood pressure is lower than it was before. She started getting more active. And the most important thing that we want to take away here is that she started at the level that worked for her. So she felt comfortable starting with walking around her block. Her block is an area that she knows is going to be a flat surface. It doesn't take too much time out of her schedule. She doesn't have to worry about if she's going to be able to keep up, with other people if she was joining like a new class or something like that. So she did what worked for her. And then gradually she increased it based on what she felt she could do. So that's the most important thing to take away. Don't just jump into something. Be realistic with yourself. Know your strengths, know your limits, know where you need to improve, and just start off there. Alrighty. So ways to get more active. I want you to look at these pictures and think about some ways to get more active. I'll give you a little bit of time for that. Alrighty, so number 1. Actually, sorry, before we dive into number 1, what did you think about these images? So a couple of things that stand out to me are, obviously everybody's smiling, so, you should make sure that getting more active is something that's enjoyable for you. Try to make it work for you. Everybody exercises differently. People have different preferences. So just find the thing that fits your style best. So in both pictures, everybody looks comfortable. This one, she looks like she's probably at home and she got some weights to work out at home. And that may be where she feels most motivated. These people here, they're in a group and they're walking, they're socializing, they're getting fresh air. That may be how they feel most comfortable. That may be how they unwind best. And doing it in a group also allows you to, again, motivate each other, share experiences, and connect with people, especially right now when things are so difficult with COVID-19. Alrighty, so now we'll actually go to number 1. Okay, so do bicep curls with a can of food while you march in place. So I do not have a can, but I have other variations that I'm going to show you. Okay, So the example of how I showed you how to do reps and sets, that's a bicep curl. So this motion here, these are your bicep muscles. This is called a bicep curl, okay? I'm going to move this down a little bit so you can see my legs. Yep. And so number 1 says, do bicep curls while you're marching in place. So marching in place, bicep curls. You can alternate if you want. Up to you how you want to do it. Okay. Number 2, do more reps or sets. So remember we talked about what's a rep, what's a set. What's a rep? If you can even demonstrate. Demonstrate, call it out. The difference between a rep and a set. So a rep, again, is repetitions. So how many times are you repeating a movement? And then a set is of the reps you do, how many times are you going to do multiple reps? So if this says do more reps or do more sets, if you were doing 2 curls, you might want to do 5 curls instead. Or if you were doing 2 sets of 2 curls, then you might want to do 4 sets of 2 curls instead. So either way, the bottom line is whatever you want to call it, do more of the exercise that you're trying to do. That's the bottom line. Okay, number 3, lift heavier weights. So a great example of that would be if you're using things around the house. So let's say you're using this little notebook thing as a weight to do squats. All right, so I'm holding onto this notebook, legs spread out. If you can see that, squat, come back up. Now you can tell that this book is pretty small. So if I want to use a larger weight, then I'm going to now switch for a much larger book. Same deal, holding the book, squat, back up. All right. Another option is to push a stroller while you walk. So if you have access to a stroller, if you have a baby or a niece or a nephew or a grandchild or whatever it may be, you can push that stroller while you're walking. Number 5, take more steps per day or per week. So minor things that you can do to help with that is if you are able to, instead of taking the elevator, then take the stairs. Or if you're going to a store that's nearby, walk to the store instead of driving to the store. If you are in your home, get up and walk around a little bit more instead of sitting down as much. Maybe you can accomplish multiple things at once. So maybe if you don't already do this, you can add extra cleanup time to your day each day. And so that's gonna kind of make you have to be up and moving around. Even what we've been talking about as well, preparing your own meals from scratch, that's gonna require you to be standing up and moving around a bit. Now, I did specifically say standing up, but if you are unable to stand, you can still prepare your meals seated, in a wheelchair, while using a cane, and there's still, multiple ways to get around and maneuver around this. If you have other issues with walking or getting around, where you're unable to walk or unable to walk for a long amount of time, then that's where you want to focus on what types of activity can you get in seated, or what other ways are you able to exercise if it's not seated. So some people do things like therapy in the water. You can do exercises from bed. Again, I've already mentioned from your chair, from your couch, from the floor. So there are really like no limits on anything. And again, if you need any help or suggestions, reach out and I'll be more than happy to help you with that. Okay. Number 6, use 1 pound hand or ankle weights while you walk. So that's just like a nice, simple, passive way of being able to get more active. So you're doing the activity that you normally do. You're just gonna wrap on some weights. So they have weights that just wrap around your arm or your ankle, wrap around like a bracelet or something, but it's definitely gonna be thicker than that. And then you can just go about your day. So again, if you are unable to move your legs, but you can move your arms, you can add those weights to your arms, and then you can still be working out your arms. If you can move your legs, but you can't move your arms, you can do the opposite. Okay? So there are different ways to work around some of the challenges that you may feel that you have. Number 7, walk farther. So that's the same idea like the reps and the sets. So if you're walking, let's say a mile every day, then start to push yourself. Walk 1.5 miles, then walk 2 miles, then walk 2.5, 3 miles, etc. So you just want to try to keep building it up and pushing yourself further within reason. Walk faster, okay? So if you notice that you're good, you can normally walk at this speed. Let's see, something like this. And you want to pick it up. Maybe you can pick it up to this speed. Throw in those arms. Make it more active. The more of your body that you put into it, if you add that little bounce to it as well, that's going to help you to get that heart rate up, okay? So play your favorite song, kind of dance when you walk, whatever it takes. But just make sure that you're getting there and that you're pushing yourself to increase more and more. If you, again, you can still do this even if you are not fully able to walk, depending on how you get around, or if you use a walker or use a cane, you can do this as well. Walk longer. So if you're basing things on time, so if you normally walk for 5 minutes, then you want to walk for 10 minutes. So the whole point is just to keep increasing things. You don't want to stay at the same place, right? You want to think about yourself as being a beautiful butterfly that's growing, 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 growing. So you want to always make sure that you're doing more so that you can become better, all right? Number 10, walk up steeper hills. So remember Olga's story? She was walking on a flat surface and then she started adding in hills and different things as well. So add in those steeper hills. Like I said, that's going to help you to get toned up more. It's going to help you with your balance. And it's going to help you to also have a change of scenery, a change of experience, and it's going to help you to lose weight quicker as well. Alrighty, so now the question is for you. How will you get more active over the next few weeks? Think about it. Week 1, 2, 3, and we're going to ask you to share this information with us. So think about that. Right now, we're going to count right now as week 1. So right now, what's something you think that you could do to get more active? Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about that, and then we'll keep going. Alrighty, so just as an example, so Olga was walking around her block. I'm gonna say, well, maybe I'm not as active as Olga. I'm not ready to walk around my block, but what I can do is walk up and down the hallway of my apartment building. Or if you live in a house or complex or any other type of situation, then you could maybe walk up and down your, back and forth across your driveway. You can walk back and forth across your front yard or backyard, or you could walk maybe to the nearest light and back, but not fully around the block. Okay, now let's do the opposite end of the spectrum. So I'm more active than Olga. Okay, well, what can I do? All right, so if, let's say you're more active than Olga, so let's say you jog already, you jog half a mile every day. So you can start with pumping it up to jogging about 3/4 of a mile every day, or you can even super challenge yourself for a mile every day. That's week 1. Alrighty, so week 2. So week 2 for somebody who's less active than Olga. So remember, week 1 we started with just walking kind of just in a straight line forward and back. So week 2, what we're gonna do is then we're gonna try to pump it up to Olga's level. So if we're walking outside, let's try to walk around the block. If we're inside, let's try to double up what we did. So if we walk down the hallway and back, let's walk down the hallway and back twice, okay? So let's try to increase it by 2. Then for week 3, you can add, oh, sorry, let me go back to week 2. So for the person that's more active, so initially you were running half a mile, and then you challenge yourself to run 3/4 mile or a full 1 mile. So for week 2, then you can run your mile, and then you're also gonna add in some, potentially some resistance training or some HIIT classes. For week 3, we're going to focus on again, kind of working in these different ways to also tone the muscles. So we're gonna use things like our resistance band, we're gonna use our sacks of beans, our water bottles, our weights, our books, whatever it is that we have at home, we're gonna use those things to then begin to help tone the muscles, as well as continuing with the walking. And then for the people that are already more active, then you can increase the amount that you're running, and then you can increase your resistance training as well, increasing the weight of the weights that you're using, the weight of the weights. Alrighty, so here we have build your muscles. So these are some examples of exercises that we can do. So here's one, wall push-ups. I would like to demonstrate this for you. I just need to see how I will do that. Okay, I figured it out. So I will demonstrate for you here after I read through this. So for the wall push-ups, you're gonna face a wall, stand a little bit more than arm's length away. So this is arm's length, and you can touch it. So if you're a little bit more than arm's length away, then now I can't touch the wall, okay? Keep your feet flat on the floor, shoulder width apart. Shoulder width apart means you're gonna spread your feet apart so that they line up with your shoulders, okay? Then you're gonna lean forward, put your palms flat against the wall at shoulder height and shoulder width. Slowly breathe in as you bend your elbows and lower your upper body towards the wall. Use a slow, controlled method. Hold this pose for about 1 second. Breathe out. Slowly push yourself back until your arms are straight. So they suggest that you repeat this 10 to 15 times. Take a rest, then do another set of 10 to 15. So let's see here. So this is a little bit more than arm's length. My hands are at shoulder height. My feet are flat against the floor. Press. Come back. Okay, and so that's a really awesome way to get your body engaged, your upper body, your stomach, core, your legs, and to also help to build up your strength so that you may be able to do push-ups flat on the ground as well. Or if you're not interested in doing that at all, this is still going to help to build your strength, and it's going to make it easier for you to carry out other activities, even just around the house. If you feel like that's too easy for you, then you can do push-ups on the ground or on the floor. Alrighty, next, arm raises with weights. Let me move this back. Okay. Arm raises with weights. So stand or sit in a sturdy armless chair. Keep your feet flat on the floor, shoulder width apart. Hold weights at your sides at shoulder height. Keep your palms facing forward. Breathe in slowly. Slowly breathe out as you raise your arms above your head. Keep your elbows slightly bent. Keep your palms facing forward. Hold the pose for 1 second. Breathe in as you slowly lower your arms. Repeat 10 to 15 times. Rest, then repeat 10 to 15 more times. Start with light weights, work your way up to heavier weights. You can do one arm at a time if you prefer. You can also use things like soup cans or other objects. Alrighty. So this is what I meant with feet shoulder width apart. Okay. So my feet are shoulder width apart. Let me adjust that. Okay. Yep. And again, if you feel like that's too easy, then you can use heavier weights. And if you feel like that's too hard, then you can start off with no weight. All right, build your muscles. Well, this is the topic I actually want to also mention. So when you add in things like this resistance training, when you do strength training for your muscles continue to burn extra calories versus if you're just walking alone or something like that, where it's only cardio. So it's important, definitely important to add in this type of training. And doing this type of strength training, especially when you're focusing on certain parts of your body specifically, is going to help with balance, which is really, really important, especially if you already have some other pains or issues related to walking and movement. So this is very, very important. All right, so build your muscles. Arm curls with resistance band. Sit in a sturdy armless chair. Keep your feet flat on the floor, shoulder width apart. Place the center of the resistance band under both feet. Hold each end of the band with palms facing inward. Keep elbows at your sides. Breathe in slowly. Keep wrists straight. Slowly breathe out as you bend your elbows and bring your hands towards your shoulders. Hold the pose for 1 second. Breathe in as you slowly lower your arms. Repeat 10 to 15 times. Rest, then repeat 10 to 15 more times. Start with a stretchy band, work your way up to a stronger band. If your resistance band has a handle, hold on tightly. If the band has no handle, wrap it around your hand to keep it from slipping. Alright, so I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about this, and then I will demonstrate a few different forms of activity and exercise that you can jump into. Okay, let me get set up here. Okay. So you want to try to do as much of So this is a can in a chair that doesn't have arms. But if you have a chair with arms only, then that's also fine. You have to work with what you have and what you can do. Okay, so for these arm extensions, think about this type of position. Then you're going to extend out, come back. While we have this band, we're going to explore a few other exercises that we can do. So like I said, this video is going to just be more of like a warm-up so you can get an idea of some things that you can do. And then we'll continue to explore more options if you all need to. All right, so one activity that I think is very important is side steps. Side, 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 side. So when you're doing this, of course, you want to make sure that the resistance band actually stays on your feet. And you should kind of feel it working your, kind of like your outer hip. These are some of your gluteus muscles, actually. And they really help you with balance, okay? These are the muscles that when you take a step, they keep your hips balanced so that you're not slumping over to one side or falling down or having to kick your leg out really far. So these are very important muscles for walking and for balance. So that's one exercise. Another one that I like to do, let me scoot back a little bit so you can see better. Another one that I like to do is this. You gotta do it with socks. All right, here we go. So you're gonna extend, bring back. So again, this is gonna be working those same muscles. General practice, whenever you're doing the part of the move that requires you to push, part that is a little bit harder for you to do, that's when you want to inhale, exhale, and go back to relaxing, right? So those are a couple of exercises you can do, seating with the resistance band. Again, you do not have to have this type. You can use like the regular resistance band. If you don't have one at home, you can get them from our resource center. Okay. Another thing you can do is, so I wrap this behind the back and press forward. And when I'm pressing forward, I'm also leaning back. But since there's no back on this chair, then that's making my abs have to work. So my abs are working while I'm also working on my arms. And we can stay in the same kind of shape. And you're gonna punch up, up. And so when I'm doing this, I'm kind of punching at diagonal. And again, now this time it's going to activate your obliques, so part of your abs. Up and across, up and across, up and across, up and across. You can bring this down and do the same thing. And if you want, you can take it down. Okay. So those are kind of, those are again just some ways to kind of get started off. All right. So as we've talked about several times, You don't have to have weights. You can use, whatever you have around the house in order to help you exercise. So this is an example of like you can use beans to do bicep curls. Okay? You can use beans for a lot of different exercises. Whatever you would normally do with a weight, you can use a bean, bag of beans, do the same thing. Or you can use canned food. You can also do just basic arm holds. Up and down. You can use circles. So there are a ton of options there. Okay. So for the water, I gave you an example of using individual bottles. You can also use the entire package of water, and you can lift that as well. So I'll show you that. So starting down here, after that. You don't have to cover it at home. I'm just covering it for branding purposes right now. Okay. So don't worry, you don't have to wrap your water in anything as long as it's not going to fall out. So starting here, left, and lifting up. Like that. Now, if you can't vertically extend your arms up like this, then what you can do is extend forward and up. Okay? Forward up with a little bit of a bend, and you just bring it back to the chest. Okay? If you are able to go up, then you want to try to bring your arms back closer to your ears, and that's going to also automatically activate your hip flexors, which you're going to work on your abs, and also work on your abs. And again, that's going to be important for balance as well. Here. Or here. Another variation that I already showed you is using a book as a weight. I just want to make sure that I'm showing you a bunch of different options that I was thinking you might be able to find around the house. So again, same deal for doing that. Just have resting look forward or up and back. You can also rotate or drop down back. And even do forward, that's back. Okay, so you can do like almost all of the same exercises. I'm targeting similar muscle groups just based on what you have around there. Okay, then I want to show you a few things that are a little bit more restorative, and then I'll also show you a few other tricks. So as you can tell, this is just an old towel. So the first thing that I'm going to do is roll it up. You don't have to roll it perfect. Just roll it a little bit. You can also do this with a smaller towel, or like a hand towel, or a wash rag might be too small, but a hand towel might be able to work. So put it around your neck. So you want it to be small enough to be able to put it around your neck, and you're going to do some neck exercises with it. You can see me clearly. Ready? So you would be sitting up fully straight. I just don't want to get cut off. So sitting up fully straight. When you sit up straight, I want you to start from your hips. So don't just go like that with your chest, but start from your hips, and from your hips up, pull your body up, elongate, okay? Then you're working your way up, working your way up. The last thing you do is roll your shoulders back, okay? So then you can be sitting up straight. Cool. So you have this towel on your neck, and you're just gonna roll the back of your head over the towel, then you're gonna come back to straight. This is really nice, especially if you have neck pain. This is just like a gentle stretch. Another nice gentle thing that you can do with the towel here is you're going to be turning your head from left to right. Now, let me preface this by saying if you have a specific condition or if you had a certain surgery or something like that in your neck, then you might want to talk to your doctor first or talk to your physical therapist first about some of these types of exercises. All right, so you're going to use the towel to help you turn your head to one direction. It's going to be the same direction that it's pulling the towel. This is just a very gentle stretch, so you're not going to be hurting yourself. You just want to stretch as much as you can comfortably, okay? So while you're here, you just breathe in. Exhale. Back to center. You're going to do the same thing with opposite side. Take that towel, turn. Yeah, nice gentle stretch. You're still sitting up nicely. Okay. And a super awesome thing to do to start your day, to end your day, in the middle of the day, are neck circles. So you're just taking it gently, again, everything is gentle. Shaking it around, circular motion. Okay, always breathing. And then you can hold it on one side. There's your pillow stretch here. Hold it over to the other side. Shoulders should be back. Again, you're sitting up straight. Pillow stretch here. Head comes down. Interlock your hands on the back of your head. So you can feel that stretch in the back of your neck. Then opposite direction. Opening up the chest. So the important thing when you're stretching, you always want to make sure that you're stretching on both sides. You should try to hold each stretch for about 30 seconds. And you want to make sure again that you're balancing. So think of it as like yin, yang, black, white, sweet, spicy, hot, cold, whatever. But you want to make sure that you're doing the same thing on both sides. Another thing I'm going to show you. So this is hip abduction, abduction. So you're going to put an object in between your legs, something that can be kind of pressed. So you might already have some kind of exercise tool that does that. If you have a ball, like one of those big yoga balls, or smaller kind of like fly balls, those little resistance ball things, you can put them between your legs. You can use a pillow. You can use quite a few things. So I'm going to use a pillow because that's what I have here. So put the pillow between your legs. Then you can just squeeze. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you do it again. It's actually working your inner thigh. You can also, instead of just squeezing, you can pulse. So you see, I'm pulsing. I'm moving in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. That's another thing that you can do. So when you're trying out these different activities, I want you to pay attention to how your body's responding to them, and also pay attention to how much you can do comfortably. Please give us any feedback so then we can help you to better tailor something that works for you. Alrighty, so I'm glad that we finally at least started to get a little bit active together today. And like I said, based on what you all need, I'll try to continue to get more and more active with you, okay? So we can experience it all together. Alrighty, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, things that you wanna share, feel free to reach me directly, 929-324-0334. You can also call the Resource Center, 323-657-0003. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. I hope that you enjoyed the rest of your day. Stay safe Stay positive. Peace.